like little kids where you kind of like hunker down. Hey, come here! And Doran comes walking, over to him and like looking up at him, like, But Doran's looking up in attentiveness to his will, not in like actual.
Right.
There's nothing behind there.
Right.
He's just paying attention to Aule.
Mm-hmm.
And so then Aule starts explaining what he's doing. So he goes through the process of making the other 6 dwarves and carving them, and then and we see him asking Doran to get him things, and Doran goes over and gets them and brings them back, and oh, thank you. Karita says the hosts are nervous about cheesiness, but some of the greatest scenes in film are towing that line of cheesy, so we can't be too hesitant. I say start brave, dial back as needed. I've been saying this. This is a big part of the Save the Lamps campaign that I have started.
Yeah.
I
think we're going to be disappointed by some of their decisions when we hand over this set of outlines, and they're like, "Wow, you guys have way too much frame. Cut, cut, cut." And we're like, "No, we spent so many hours making this work."
And blocking it out so it would actually work time-wise. I don't think there's a single episode we've made where we use up too much time. I don't think that's going to happen anywhere.
Anyway.
I really don't. Karita says, whatever. They are but the wind beneath our wings.
I mean, what are they going to do? Fire us?
Okay. Find somebody else to write scripts then.
Yeah, pretty much. Although we have to be careful because while there's this much interest in the story of the Valar, next season is the story of the Noldor. I think the internet might wake up and notice what we're doing for season 2.
I was telling Karita earlier that I got really excited because somebody new popped up on the forums this afternoon. Somebody named Kevin MacLeod.
Mm-hmm.
He actually wrote the music that I've been using as the intro music for the YouTube videos.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
And found SilmFilm completely independently. As soon as I saw his name, I was like, "Oh my god, it's the guy!" And I thought that maybe because the YouTube does a really good job of telling you where, like, who's watching your, not exactly who, but like where your stuff is being watched and all. And I thought maybe that he has a way of knowing when his music is being used in videos.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was how he found it, but no, he found it completely independently.
Mm-hmm. So,
Kevin, if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, thanks. Your music is awesome. Anyway, so, what was I talking about? What were we talking about?
Well,
we were talking about...
And we were trying not to be cheesy about it.
Yes. But you know what? Karita's right. That you can't have good drama without coming very close. The difference between drama and cheesiness is usually in execution.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
It can come down to bad writing. It can come down to bad acting. It can come down to bad decisions made with the camera and bad directing.
Mm-hmm.
Concepts aren't usually responsible for it.
There are very few things that are inherently cheesy as an idea.
Well, and that's the thing. And part of the problem is that we have all seen things that are cheesy.
Yeah.
And so there's this propensity to be like,
don't do that.
We can't do that. It's been done before and it looks terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it looked terrible that time.
Well, on the other hand, there are certain things that I don't know how they would be any good.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, obviously, but a lot of of stuff,
it's the
like
combination,
for instance,
not just one deep. It's not just the concept
yeah.
behind it.
like ginormous lamps at the top and bottom of your continent. Anyway, Karita says, I am eating, listening, but might talk less for a few minutes. Okay, cool. So at some point, do we have him notice at all that Doran's not
all
okay before until Iluvatar actually points it out to him?
Mm-hmm.
Like he never notices that Doran's just not awake in there. You know,
but the
like
audience,
there's nobody in there.
The audience can see that when Ollie has his back turned, that Duran kind of either stops or has a blank stare. Something's a little funny about him.
Just stares at him blankly and doesn't say anything, doesn't do anything.
And then when Ollie turns back to him, is like, "Oh, can you go over here?" Or, "Oh, see how we do this." Then Duran like nods or does what he's told. So Duran is very responsive to Ollie, but when Ollie takes his attention away, Duran is very not. I don't want to have it so obvious that he's like an android powering down. Yeah, you know, like turned off. Yeah, but at the same time, I want it to be something the audience can pick up on.
And maybe he doesn't really blink.
Right. Certain details that are just something's off, something's not right. So the audience should be feeling as this whole procession goes on and we start making more of these, like, oh, this is going to go really badly. Like, I think Ollie is making a zombie army or something. You know, like he should, the audience should be getting the vibe that this is not what's supposed to happen.
Do we think Ollie was going to make more than the 7 before Iluvatar stops him?
He could mention that to Duran, like, why stop with 7 pairs? I could just keep doing this all day.
Did he make 7 pairs? I thought he just made, like, this is always the part that's been a little weird to me. Did he make 7 pairs?
Yeah.
Because I don't think it says that.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, maybe. I don't know. I always read it as he just made the 7 fathers of the dwarves and nothing, and like there's just no explanation for how procreation started.
The dwarves grow out of the ground. Which, Elrond has to introduce this all by saying, well, this is the story the elves tell. The dwarves, if you want to hear the story from the dwarves, you could ask them, but I wouldn't count on it. They don't tell people these things. It's something like that, so that we know that we're hearing. Okay, Elfrele and Yavanna. Okay. You're right. It only mentions the fathers of the dwarves in the Silmarillion version. But
awkward. Well, I mean, maybe Iluvatar just handled it. What? No. Like maybe Iluvatar was just like, yeah, he clearly did not think this through. I'm gonna fix it for him.
I would just go with 7 pairs.
Yeah.
I mean, the Valar pair off.
Yeah.
This concept of having a mate is not something that's alien to him. So why would he leave it out of his creation?
That's true. Although at the same time, he may not really like be thinking about, well, they're going to need, like, otherwise this is going to be it.
Right. I don't think he's necessarily thought everything the whole way through yet. But I feel
I'm not saying that we would have to point it out.
No. The question is how many little statues has he made so far? And is it 7 people and all male? Or is it 14?
Well, here's what I'm saying is if like we can let it just be 7 and then just not address it.
Yeah.
I mean, as Tolkien doesn't.
Right. But I feel like it should be pairs.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Fine.
I mean, is that like a weird?
Yeah. No. I mean, it's just like again, there are. seeming oversights in Tolkien's work. Like, if you asked Tolkien, hey, where did Durin get his wife? And people who don't really understand anything like to ask where Cain got his wife because they can't see 2 inches in front of their face.
I think that
Tolkien probably would have said, hey, well, I mean, obviously, Iluvatar just, got right on that and fixed it, but...
I don't know. All right,
Krita says, if the scene...
the dwarves in the background, it might not be obvious if they are pairs or just some dudes. Right, I mean, I wasn't necessarily planning on having a bunch of naked dwarves running around this scene.
Yeah, well, that was my other problem.
Ollie's a great crafter. He can put clothes on his creation. Durin's walking around with clothes on in this scene, okay? Ollie's got clothes. He puts a little work apron on his little Durin creation, and Durin's running around in a work apron or something.
Durin's just wearing an apron.
Clothes, okay? Clothes.
It's like a hospital gown.
Oh my gosh. No.
It says it might not matter. We can just have a dozen or so figures standing in the workshop. Yeah, I mean, it's not a big deal. And part of it's just worrying about purists. But the reality of the situation is, we do at some point, like, female dwarves need to exist.
They do, and I feel like Tolkien wrote a longer version of this somewhere else. Like, the published Silmarillion version is the short version of Alla and Yavanna, but I feel like there was something written later where he names all the 7 fathers of the dwarves, like the different families, and yes, Krita, they're wearing pants for.
Remember, Gondor has no pants. Gondor needs no pants.
Yes, but this is not Gondor. Dwarves need pants.
Okay.
Anyway, let me just say that the extended scene in Rivendell in the first Hobbit film that has a bunch of naked dwarves in the fountain is not necessary. No one needs to see this.
Okay. So anyway.
So there's some statues, and it could be more than 7.
Okay. It can.
Okay.
But he's made a bunch of them at this point. And he's getting ready to do more, because why not?
Right.
He's getting ready to do more, so why not? And this is the moment where Iluvatar intervenes. And I mean, I think that the idea of having Iluvatar speak from the furnace works for me. I'm hesitant to be like, yeah, it's a great idea, because
no, it is a good idea.
Was a great idea.
I think
it was a great idea, though.
It works well. I mean, we were going through that. If you talk about cheesy stuff,
right? For
the one instance where Iluvatar is going to step in and be like, "Hey, just thought I'd mention that I'm here." You have to be. I mean, it becomes iconic. However, you do that, so you have to choose something that fits.
Right.
So, speaking from Ollie's furnace fits.
Yeah. The furnace flares up. And I want to have that conversation almost word for word lifted out of the text. I certainly want to have Iluvatar's dialogue come right out of the text. Alle's, I'm a lot more comfortable changing up to make it a little less clunky to a modern listener. Which I don't think it's that bad to begin. And of course, when I say bad, I don't mean bad. I mean
difficult on the ears.
Stilted is the word that's usually used to describe that sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, here's what the text has for Iluvatar, in case you were curious. And the voice of Iluvatar said to him, "Why hast thou done this? Why dost thou attempt a thing which thou knowest is beyond thy power and thy authority? For thou hast from me as a gift thy own being only, and no more. And therefore the creatures of thy hand and mind can live only by that being, moving when thou thinkest to move them, and if thy thought be elsewhere, standing idle. Is that thy desire? Allah answers him. Allah offers to destroy the dwarves. But Iluvatar spoke again and said, even as I gave being to the thoughts of the Aenar at the beginning of the world, so now I have taken up thy desire and given to it a place therein. But in no other way will I amend thy handiwork. And as thou hast made it, so shall it be.
Oh, then Iluvatar can't fix the whole lady dwarves thing.
Like I said, I'm pretty sure Allah needs to make lady dwarves.
Okay.
But I will not
Karina
suffer
says, I love the conversation, but it's some of my favorite text. We can ditch the thous, but otherwise I want to keep it. Yeah. It might not be the world's worst idea to change that, to change thou to you and thy to your. Like, that might not be the end of the world.
That's partly why I just read it, so that we would all hear what it sounds like when you put the thys and the thous in there.
It sounds awesome to me.
I mean, maybe if anyone can speak like that, why not Iluvatar, right?
Right, yeah.
But it'll depend on how it will depend on how we do Iluvatar in the first episode.
Yeah.
If when he's describing the music, he's doing these and thous, he can keep on doing it here. If he's not doing them there, then we should cut him here. Just,
it isn't just up to me, so if you guys think we need to cut things down, I'll